I'm so glad that you were able to join me for Coffee with Climate Leaders. I have my coffee ready to talk with you. I've got a lot of questions and looking forward to catching up.
And I brought mine as well.
Great, great. So Fran, in preparation for our chat today, I wanted to just look back on your career and what you've accomplished. And so I just want to read a couple of things here. I know your resume is very long, but I just pulled out a couple of points that I want to focus on. One is that you've served 29 years in elected office, which is amazing. And then you served 14 years in the California Assembly and then later in the Senate. You authored landmark climate policies, AB 32, SB 32, and others that have created a market for innovation and investment in clean energy and vehicles, which has helped to clean our air, grow our economy, and reduce greenhouse gas emissions. And as chair of the Senate's Natural Resources and Water Committee, you were able to pass California's Sustainable Groundwater Management Act that promotes policies to protect our oceans and watersheds and adopts measures to create more sustainable local water supplies. And as something that's very near and dear to my heart, during your last year in the legislature, you also authored SB 1425, which was the Water Energy Nexus Bill, which created the Water Energy Nexus Registry in the state of California. And now you are the Environmental Policy Director with USC Schwarzenegger Institute. So first of all, I'd like to ask you what's going on at the Institute now during these challenging times, and what programs and policies are you able to move forward? How's your work going there?
Well, we've been busy. It's been interesting, all working at different locations, not being able to meet face-to-face together. But our work goes on. It seems busier than normal because we have to respond to things we didn't think would be on our agenda this year. In fact, normally we would just be recovering from an international climate summit that Governor Schwarzenegger holds in Vienna, Austria, attended by prime ministers and top climate people from around the world, and we look forward to that every year. That's what we would normally be doing. And this time last year, we were just finishing teaching a class on AB 32 to undergraduate USC students. It was fun. This year, of course, we've had to adjust and change, but the USC Schwarzenegger Institute isn't just focused on climate. They're also spending a lot of time on redistricting policies, and that work goes on. They've been involved in the COVID economic recovery and testing. And so we've been very engaged. We're not big in numbers, but we do an amazing amount of good work, all thanks to the Governor Schwarzenegger. So regarding on the climate side, though, some of the things we've worked on, it may surprise your Southern California listeners, but we will be doing our third webinar with UCLA. So it's a USC UCLA with the J. Arts Luskin Center at UCLA and ourselves. And we've done one on COVID recovery, well attended, very informative. We work well together. We decided, Amy, you'll like this, when it comes to air and water, people don't really care if you're inside the city limits or outside, whether you're a Bruin fan or you like the USC Trojans, not real relevant when it comes to pollution. So we've been really working with outreach in the Institute, not only to work with UCLA, but the LA Clean Tech Incubator, which is amazing, LA DWP, and the list goes on. So looking at a broader regional perspective, and that includes a lot of water districts and water agencies as well. So we're getting ready to do another webinar with UCLA on the House Climate Plan, and having several congressional members talk about that, and having some responders, and we'll keep you informed on that. So that's been exciting. A little less this year involvement in other states, because legislators everywhere are not fully engaged because of the pandemic, but to some extent still with the state of Washington on their low carbon fuel standard. I did a podcast the other day with the climate minister, our environmental minister for New Zealand. So we branch out in all different directions, busy all the time, op-eds or public policy discussions. The work goes on, and we have the good fortune to have someone who's allowing us to move in any directions we need to. We had a great roundtable a few months ago on energy storage, something really important. It relates well with our water energy nexus discussions. So the Institute is really making its mark in the greater Los Angeles area, and we hope to continue in our normal capacity, hopefully by the end of this year.
That's wonderful to hear, and it's a great model for really moving the needle on climate action. What are some of the other things that you think that cities, counties, state governments can be doing that they're maybe not taking advantage of, and they're not being able to move ahead on it, or they're just, they just don't have it on their radar that this is an opportunity?
And you're right, there's that cliche about sometimes in a crisis brings opportunity, and we have that opportunity of relooking at, for example, sustainability measures. We're more concerned than ever about increasing jobs and economic opportunities. I can't think of any time in history where issues like environmental justice and impacts on public health that are now even more important than ever, and people are articulating that. So we have these opportunities now, perhaps through Governor Newsom's task force. We had a roundtable with Tom Steyer's group the other day on how we can take these key policy areas and combine it so it's accomplishing multiple goals in different ways that are priorities. So how can we transition the workforce for tomorrow in these new cleaner technologies or clean energy programs or businesses? How can we provide that workforce training? How can we make sure that environmental justice communities are treated fairly and appropriately and engage them on the local level? So lots of possibilities going on, but what I think everyone has to do is don't wait for the federal government to do something. Unfortunately, it may take a few months, but allow cities and communities and individuals to move forward together. A lot of cities now are part of CCAs, Community Choice Local Power. We're getting up to, in Southern California, our Southern California Clean Power Authority, 60% of all electricity is coming from clean renewable sources. We're way above the state average. Why? We have 3 million customers. You can really negotiate some very good prices on wind and solar, and we're seeing some real good outcomes on that. So local people can do a lot. I think all the action is local and then state, sort of a bottoms up during this period of time. And so a lot of good things are going on that we can build on. We don't have the stimulus money to really accelerate the investment moving forward. But Amy, I wanted to share with you one really exciting thing. My little local water district used to have 1 megawatt of solar panels. They're now putting in 5. Their water treatment facility will probably be off the grid. They are voluntary members of the Registry program, and they're a small water district. They have figured out how to pencil it out that this will save money for customers in the long run, plus reduce carbon intensity and carbon emissions. So really a win-win.
That's so wonderful to hear. And they're also going to be more resilient as the climate changes too. So double win-win. What gives you hope?
So I mentioned the water district because that gives me a lot of hope. And one other story on the climate level that gives me a lot of hope was a recent success story by the Air Resources Board on the Advanced Clean Truck. Amazing on diesel, on trucks in the future. The larger, medium and heavy duty trucks will have to be operating on electricity, clean electricity from renewable sources. Very exciting for air pollution, climate emissions, you name it, a benefit to all. Also, what gives me hope is knowing that agencies like the LA Metro will be having all electric buses crisscrossing the county. in the near future. Thrilled with it, not just because it cleans up the air and reduces greenhouse gas emissions, but 2 plants have been built in Southern California, one by Proterra and one by BYD, that are creating hundreds of jobs in manufacturing these electric buses. And I just found out Marin County bought 1 bus from each of those companies and is seeing which is their favorite. So they're having a little competition up there in Northern California, but we're creating the jobs down here. So that gives me tremendous, a lot of excitement. And the last good news that I can think of is in nearby Ventura County, they had a natural gas plant that was getting old and outdated. It was over 20 years old. It went through some litigation. Anyway, our California Energy Commission decided that we did not need this plant. They have some siting authority that shows if it's not needed, you don't have to approve it. Well, here's the good win story on all that. Not only is the natural gas plant not needed, it sounds like new natural gas plants won't be built in California. And a battery storage company is moving from another state into California to build on the same site, sort of saving the jobs, which was one of the challenging obstacles we had in trying to take out the natural gas plant for this area of California. It's in Oxnard. So that's really exciting.
It's such a pleasure to talk with you this morning. Most days are filled with really bad news, and this has been so inspiring to hear all these good news stories. And it really shows what happens when people row in the same direction, right? A lot can get done, and a lot can be done to affect the future and our future. So I look forward to keep working with you in all these areas, Fran.
Well, thank you, Amy. And the registry has been along this whole way on all these kinds of pieces of legislation. For good work, and thank you very much for the efforts in trying to make that connection between water and energy really important in California. 20% of all the energy we use is moving, treating, and heating water. Thank you, Amy, for doing that.
Thank you. Thank you for joining me and for all that you do. And I look forward to seeing you in person sometime soon, I hope.
Sometime soon. All right.
Thanks, Fran.